Hey, good morning. Can we talk? Let's talk for a second. All right, first of all, it's Saturday, right? It's November 2nd. Very good. It's 10:15 in the morning. So normally I'm posting around 8, 7:30, 8. And I've noticed, a bunch of people jump on the video early, not a bunch, a few. And then most of the views are coming afternoon, evening. So I'm thinking maybe I should wait. I get a more recent computer run if I wait a little later in the morning and that sort of thing. So, just interested in what you think. If you don't mind, tell me what time you watch and where you're watching from. That could be very helpful because I'm here to serve you. If this channel is going to grow, then you have to be happy. It's not about me. Although it's a little bit about me because I love the weather. So that's why I do this, so I can update myself on what's going on in the weather as well. And I'll just take you along for the ride. So I hope you're enjoying it. Here are the hazards for today. And West Coast is still cold and snowy for some. So winter weather advisories in Washington State, the Sierra Nevada of California, into Idaho, into Nevada, a little bit of Oregon, uh, Utah, lots of winter weather advisories, also into Wyoming. And then you look at California, Nevada, some wind issues. Again, this is our storm system that's diving into the Four Corners. And so wind advisories here, so be advised, it's going to be windy. Meanwhile, it's excessive rainfall, and we'll actually show you those specific maps for southeastern New Mexico, West Texas, North Texas, all the way through Oklahoma. Could get massive amounts of rain into Kansas as well. A little bit of fog up there in the Dakotas and also Alabama, and our persistent river flood watches and warnings in Florida. I'm not sure what that's about because I've never been to Florida. You know that? That's weird. All right, switching things up a little bit. I'm going to start with the GFS model because there's some interesting things on here, and I don't know. I'm thinking you might enjoy this better to have this first. I don't know. Let's find out. So anyway, we're starting out this morning. Here's our system in the west, rain and snow, and already raining southeastern New Mexico into West Texas, into Oklahoma and Kansas. Texas Tech is playing in Ames, Iowa today, so they're not getting rained on this morning. Ames, Iowa State is undefeated. So a challenge for you, Tech. Here we go. I was hoping to get to the game today, but I just couldn't swing it. Anyway, we're moving through the forecast and the heavy rain for West Texas, southeastern New Mexico, Oklahoma, into Kansas, moving into Nebraska, moving into Iowa. This gets us into Saturday night. Snow moving into Idaho, rain and snow for Oregon, Washington. And we're going to see periods of rain moving from eastern New Mexico, West Texas, into the plains, into the Midwest. It's going to be like 3 rounds at least. And so as we get into Sunday, heavy rainfall, moving into Kansas, up into Iowa, Nebraska, Missouri, Wisconsin, and then another round, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, into Michigan. And then another round, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa. And so and this gets us into Tuesday. So between now and Tuesday, 1, 2, 3 rounds of heavy rainfall from West Texas into Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, parts of Nebraska, Illinois. It's just one after another after another. As we get into Tuesday, you see more snow spreading into the northwestern part of the country, heavy snow for parts of Nevada, Utah, into Colorado as this system gets together. Little snowstorm here, northern Arizona, northern New Mexico. This gets us into Thursday, and more rain, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, and so this system in Colorado is going to move into the plains. Snow for parts of Nebraska and South Dakota. But then it's rain, and it's heavy rain where I live in Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, West Texas. So, continuing throughout the week, just periods of rain, 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 heavy rain at times. This gets us into early morning Saturday, heavy rain, Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota, snow on the backside Saturday morning, and the cold air coming in behind it. And that low will lift into the upper Midwest, into the Great Lakes with some heavy rainfall there. And there's another system behind that. Here for the Pacific Northwest, heavy rain here. I thought for sure I would get away with not clicking on that, but I messed up again. All right, there's that heavy rain moving in the Pacific Northwest. This is the 11th, so Veterans Day. Rain finally for the East Coast. And then as we go later into mid-November, that system dives not as far south into the central and northern Rockies this time, into the northern plains. We've got ourselves a snowstorm on the 13th. Will this come true? We're pretty far out. This is 2 weeks out almost. But maybe finally a blizzard-like storm for the Dakotas as we get into, say, the 13th, and then that moves into Minnesota. Very heavy wind and snow, and behind it, cold air getting all the way down into Arkansas, into the Midwest. So that's the pattern. We're going to see round after round after round of heavy rainfall in this general area right here, basically the plains into the Midwest. All right, let's go through it day by day. Here's your surface for today. And we have severe weather for West Texas, heavy rainfall for West Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas. Back to the west, it's snow and rain or snow, depending on elevation and location, as I like to say. But really, the western third of the country with rain or snow. So also the southeast, a little bit of rain, and that would be showers or storms for Florida. And those showers and storms getting into the Midwest here in Iowa, the second half of today, we could see some storms. Here's where the severe weather is. And so there's, in the light green, that's your general thunderstorms, Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota, so upper plains, upper Midwest, and then down through the central plains as well. Then we start talking severe weather. The marginal risk goes from Tulsa, Oklahoma, all the way down into eastern New Mexico, but your slight risk, the better risk, is Lubbock, Texas, Oklahoma City, down into Midland, Odessa. So that's where we're watching for the best chance of severe weather and even tornadoes as we zoom in closer to Texas. Your 5% risk of tornadoes would be down around Lee County, the southern half of Lee County, New Mexico. So anywhere from around Lovington south. I said Jal yesterday, go Panthers. Wink, Texas, where Roy Orbison is from, is part of this. Midland, Odessa, also in that 5% chance. This is where your storm chasers are likely to be today. The 2% in the green does include Lubbock, does include Oklahoma City, does include Wichita Falls. So watch out, still a possibility of tornadoes in this area too. Where's the excessive rain today? Well, yeah, Kansas, Oklahoma, West Texas, our best chance for too much rain. All right, temperatures. Pretty close to average in the plains, just slightly above. Pretty close to average West Coast, slightly below. Pretty close to average Northeast, slightly below. And then the Southeast is your double digits above average on temperatures. And those look like this. They're in the 80s in the Southeast. But also back into Texas, Louisiana Southeast, also parts of Florida. Then you get into 70s and 60s as you head northward, as you would expect. For the Northeast, kind of cool. There's some 40s, even some 30s here. Upper Midwest, 40s. You get into the West, and we have widespread 40s, even some 30s with elevation. Mid 50s for the coast of Oregon and Washington. 60s for Central California, and 70s. For Phoenix, for example, lows tomorrow morning, cold west, warm for the plains and southeast, kind of cold for the northeast. And tomorrow's surface shows that storm system in the northwest making further progress into the Rockies. We got rain mixed with snow, New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana west. And then we have showers and storms, southern Arizona, New Mexico, east through the plains and Midwest, and the heavy rainfall from eastern Iowa through parts of Illinois, Missouri, Kansas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, North Texas, and the severe weather that gets you into Texas and Oklahoma. So Oklahoma City are involved in the slight risk, just north of Dallas-Fort Worth, all the way back towards Abilene, San Angelo, in the slight risk. You get into the marginal risk, Lubbock, you're included, Midland, Odessa, you're included, Dallas, Fort Worth, you're included, Paris, Texas, you're included, western Arkansas, into much of Kansas, even up into south central Nebraska, slight risk of severe storms tomorrow. And where will the tornadoes be tomorrow? Well, the Storm Prediction Center is moving that 5% a little further to the east, but we're talking Oklahoma City, just north of Dallas, back towards Abilene. Wichita Falls, you're in this too. And then the 2% expands from there, so all the way to Paris, western Arkansas, back towards West Texas, but east of Lubbock. And then and right, maybe Midland, Texas, right on that line for the 2% chance. So, keep an eye to the sky. And that 2% goes up into western Kansas, like Dodge City. Excessive rainfall for tomorrow? Yeah, like at least a 40% chance for Oklahoma City through Tulsa to just south of Kansas City, and at least a 15% chance from just north of Big D, Wichita Falls, through the rest of Oklahoma except for the west, for Arkansas into Missouri, including Kansas City, up into eastern Iowa and western, say, Illinois. So I think Dubuque, Iowa would be included in the at least 15%, and at least the 5% goes all the way up to Green Bay. All right, anomalous temperatures for tomorrow. It's a little bit more above average for the plains, a little bit more above average for parts of the southeast, although cooling off on the east coast part of the southeast. Temperatures not as much below average for the east coast, and a little bit more below average when you get into the Four Corners for tomorrow. Those highs look like this. A lot of 40s, even 30s for, say, Arizona. Although the desert southwest would be cooler, but some 70s here. 60s through central California, 50s for the Oregon and Washington coast, but inland 40s and 50s, and 30s with elevation. Upper Midwest, 50s, a few 40s for northern Wisconsin into Minnesota, 50s for Michigan, and then a lot of 60s in the Central Plains into the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. 48-hour precipitation. So we've been talking about this excessive rainfall and repetitive rainfall, again and again and again from West Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, into Wisconsin even, and that's reflected here in the next 48 hours, next 2 days. And remember, this is going to continue beyond this, but for the next 2 days, ending Monday morning, 4 to 6 inches of rain possible anywhere from Wichita Falls through the center of Oklahoma City and even a little bit of southeastern Kansas. Wow. Expand that out. You go from Lubbock to Kansas City, even into eastern Iowa, you're talking 2 to 3 inches maybe. And then you span out even further, the rest of Iowa, much more of Kansas, more of West Texas, into Wisconsin, you're talking maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches. That's the forecast here, is 1.5 inches to 2 inches here in western Iowa. So that's what the Weather Service is saying anyway. Meanwhile, Oregon, some pretty heavy rainfall, could be up to 1 inch along the coast, more in the Cascades. And of course, some of that will be falling as snow. Along the spine of the Cascades, we're up to 2 feet, especially for the higher peaks. But some of the mountain passes will be dealing. If you're traveling over the mountains in Oregon and Washington, you'll probably have to bring some chains with you. Snow for eastern Oregon into Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado. I mean, this is that time of year. And we're starting to see snow even in the next 2 days, all the way down to the Mogollon Rim of Arizona and into parts of northern New Mexico and, of course, the Sierra Nevada. So ski season starting in the west, it looks like, is kind of that time of year. All right, let's look ahead to Monday now, as we've gotten your guaranteed forecast through the weekend or your time back. Stop. All right, heavy rainfall from northeast Texas through Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, a little bit of Iowa, a little bit of Wisconsin. And the severe storms possible in the yellow there, we'll show you here in just a second. Still a chance of rain and snow, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, heavy snow for parts of the mountains of Colorado into northern New Mexico. Northwest, Rain and snow, heavy snow, Idaho, and into Washington State. And then, the rest of the plains, storms, even into the upper Midwest, into the Great Lakes, and maybe some rain mixed with snow, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Severe weather for Monday. Yeah, pretty big area of a slight risk, all the way from Austin into northeast, Texarkana, into almost Little Rock, certainly Oklahoma City, Tulsa included in this, almost Kansas City, and almost St. Louis in Missouri. You get into the marginal risk, the dark green, and you get all the way down into Houston and all the way up into near Chicago. The light green is just your regular rainfall. Excessive rain for Monday. Kind of the same areas from Big D all the way up to Chicago. All right, your temperatures for Monday, more below average for New Mexico, parts of Arizona, into Colorado, even back into Utah. Those are the Four Corner states, so that's your most below average. Getting more above average for the Midwest, Ohio Valley, with teens above average here, almost 20 above average, and that goes all the way down through, say, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, into East Texas. Those highs look like this. I mean, we're still talking mid 80s for East Texas, 84 for Houston, 80s for Louisiana and Mississippi, even into Alabama and down into Florida. 70s as you head west and north from there. 60s west and north from there. 50s, 40s for the Northeast, and a lot of 40s, even 30s for the interior Northwest along the coast, mid 50s. Central California 60s, desert Southwest 70s. As we get into our anomalous temperatures for the rest of the week, so just looking at the trends, cooler west, warmer east Tuesday. Wednesday, much below average for the Four Corners, especially into the Rockies. 20 degrees below average for Denver Wednesday, and much above average for the Northeast Thursday. West Texas getting a big cool off, and not as cold further to the east Friday. Texas cooling off into Kansas, and a big air blob of warm air. Watch this, Thursday, Friday coming in from Canada into the northern plains. Craziness. Saturday, that warm air stops, thankfully, and some of that cool air invades the central plains into the Midwest on Saturday. And then Sunday, we're looking at slightly above average for most of the plains, although northern plains more than that. Ohio Valley above average, and then the west coast, northwest mainly, with our below average temperatures. So that gets us through next weekend. Here are your 6 to 10 day temperatures as we're bringing her home as people click away. Your 6 to 10 day temperatures. Never tell people you're wrapping up; they'll leave. Anyway, November 7th through the 11th. Our best chance of below average temperatures would be Arizona, and everyone else above average. At least those are the odds. And then our chances of below and above average precipitation. The bullseye is Amarillo for your best chance of above average rain. But again, we're going to have storm system after storm system after storm system going from eastern New Mexico through West Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and then into Missouri and Iowa and even Illinois. So that's the trend as we get towards the middle part of November. The driest will be along the Canadian border from the northern plains through the Great Lakes into the northeast. All right, there is your guaranteed forecast through the weekend or your time back. And we went through even the weekend after that. And so, you know what? There's something I wanted to show you. And nobody's here anymore because I already chased him away. But let me show you something. Back to the GFS because I forgot to take this to the end. Watch this. I live right here. And I love snow. And so as we go forward, watch this. My neighbors and friends are going to hate me. But, this is so far out. Is it going to come true? Are we going to have a little system move through, a little clipper system move through and bring us some snow on the 18th of November? I sure hope so. We'll keep you posted, of course, as we go. This is the very last frame on the GFS run. So If there's any uncertainty in this forecast, it would be this. But, if you like snow, something to look forward to a week before Thanksgiving. I'm dreaming of a white Thanksgiving. Do, do, do. Hey, that's your forecast. Have a great weekend. We'll see ya. I don't know about tomorrow because, again, church, all that stuff. But maybe if I'm going to do later in the day, maybe I'll do tomorrow after church. Knock out a forecast for you. Maybe we'll give that a try. Tell me where you are and what time you're watching. That would be a big help. We'll see you maybe tomorrow. Have a great day.